Hello, everybody. I wanted to show you something else I did when I first moved down to South Florida, late December in 2008. All I had was my van and my trailer, and and then I had everything I had in the world inside those two things. But anyway, let me show you this place that where I stayed. It was called Paradise Farms. A friend of mine in South Florida recommended it, and it was mostly an avocado farm. And it was organic avocados. They had a few other things, but um, it was mostly avocados. Jeez. I mean, just a sea of avocado trees. You can see them there in the background, and I'm a fruitarian guy, and avocados. I mean, one of these avocados is enough protein and fat to last you like 6 days, easy, and they just had loads of them, and so, but not any real fruit to speak of. So. But anyway, it was quite an operation they had, and they did have a few good things there. Unfortunately, the owners were not fruitarian, or I don't even think they were vegan. They did have a little community, but it was mostly just volunteer people that were living in tents picking up avocados for a free place to stay. And, she had a little community house thing, but she and her younger boyfriend partner lived in the big house, that you can see. Oh, there's the roof of it, I believe. But it was a neat place. I mean, it really was. It could have been so much more, but there were some things they did there that were very good. Like they grew microgreens, I'll show them to you, and sprouts. And I'm not sure what all of this stuff is exactly. But the biggest thing here was this massive grove of avocado trees. But this is their like domed community house thing here, where they'd have gatherings and meetings. But the diet thing, it was sort of vegetarian like, maybe towards vegan, but it wasn't at all fruitarian. They didn't have any understanding of that. I tried to teach them, but they weren't much interested. But they had done some good things. This is the entrance to their house. I guess this lady had been there for probably 30 years, and maybe her husband had died. Now she had some younger man living there. But it was cool. But yeah, just all kinds of avocado trees. And those things were loaded. They were old trees. They'd been around a while. That's their house, And so some of the property, looking down from upstairs. I went up to visit them one day, I think. And so, yeah, coconuts, can't beat that. It's a heck of a property they had, I swear. This lady owned it all. And, another thing that was interesting was all these blocks of coral. Somebody must have dug those up years ago and stacked them, and they were going to build something like, like Coral Castle, but on a much smaller scale. But that thing had been abandoned some time ago. I don't know who did it, but yeah, it was a big property. It was a nice place. It had so much potential, but no real fruit trees, no understanding of it. So, not sure what those are really. But these, I think, could be microgreens or something. I don't know what they're growing in those things. I may have some closer pictures, but yeah, these I think were either sprouts or microgreens. There's better pictures in here. I'll show them to you. But look, here's these avocado trees. This thing is loaded. Just hundreds of these trees. There were so many avocados they drop on the ground, and they'd still be good for a couple of days. And so they had us picking them up, and they would donate them to charities and homeless shelters, which I commend her for. You'll see some of the carts, but look at all these avocados. I mean, and they're really good ones too. They may not look as fancy as what's in the store, but they're better than what's in the store. And they were all organic too. More of that coral. So that's one of the main roads there in Homestead. Forgotten the name of it. Anyway, look at this right outside. I parked my van and I would sleep in it, or I slept in a tent sometimes. But look at those avocados. I mean, just one of those, honestly. I tried to kind of like live on them, and man, I was feeling just like garbage, I swear. I mean, you know how you feel when you eat a lot of fat? It was a mistake, I'll tell you. I had to get out of there after a while. It was just depressing. I mean, you can't live on those. And I needed fruit, and I needed to be in a better area where I could really get a hold of fruit. But somebody put together this like stone circle, which is cool. That took some, ingenuity. I don't know, if what they did there, but I just found it. Neat place. This was late December. Good time to be there. Looks like that might be some kind of a sweat lodge or something. Palm tree conchas, I think they're called. You can cook those little things. Now they were growing something here in between the avocado trees. A lot of cool concepts they had going. It's one of the volunteers there. This is the kind of stuff they were eating, sort of like a vegan, I guess, but just didn't really know what they were doing. I mean, you can't, that's not sustainable. Fruit is the key to everything. So there's my truck and trailer. That's everything I had in the world. That van was in perfect shape, and the trailer I bought brand new before I left Tampa. That was all I had right there. Everything in the world was in the van and trailer. It was December 23rd, 2008. Their dog. There was some long-term naturopath living on the property or renting a house on it or something. It was a very large place, apparently. I've forgotten this lady's name. I met her, and she was more into fruit, but she didn't understand the concept very well either. Now, I don't know what those were. Maybe those are carob or something. I think they might be. Those are those palm tree conchas or whatever they're called. You can cook those if you want to. They have a lot of fat on them. Star fruits, they did have star fruit trees. Didn't really pay much attention to them themselves, but you could just eat those right off. If they didn't have bugs in them, those would be fine. They'd be outstanding. You could see those selling for 250 in the grocery stores for one. They didn't even pay much attention to them. But yeah, here's one of those avocados. Really nice. I mean, big too, buttery flavor. That's my old fruit knife. I remember that thing. It had a curved handle. It was really nice. Serrated edge. It was beautiful for all kinds of fruits. I lost it some years later. Here's my van. I remember that old cell phone. That was before, you had the smartphones. There, I made some kind of avocado, tomato, guacamole, and that was dinner, I guess. And man, I'll tell you, like I said, I was all clogged up and feeling low the next day or two. So I guess these are, oh, yeah, see, people out picking up avocados, and that's what I did. You walk around with a cart, you drag it around, you pick up avocados, fill up the cart, and you take them over to the some little little covered area that was where they kind of packaged them up and everything. Look at the avocados on the tree. They're just all over. Look at them. Just avocados galore, Look at that. Look at this. Just so many, and they're all just going to waste. So at least they gave them away. Good for them. And that took time, you know. Man, a lot of calories they gave away, a lot of valuable food. I don't know what they were growing there. I don't remember. Homestead, that's the place to grow your fruit, vegetables, and everything. They knew what they were doing, I'll say that. I could have learned a lot from them if they'd grown fruit trees, I might have stuck around. Compost of some kind. Looks like arugula or some kind of wild greens, which that's pretty cool. And you could see it was automated with drip irrigation. She needed more help there. Looked like she had a lot of money and she was getting a little older, and it was just didn't really have a super amount of interest in running the place, but they did all right. I mean, you can see. I mean, they were using that land. Don't remember what those are called. Oh yeah, what's the name of those? Very weird taste. These are some of the tents that people, these volunteers stayed in. Uh, they'd give you a tent and that's it. I don't think anybody was paid. You just got to, I mean, I mean, it was kind of like slave labor. I couldn't believe they had so many people. They probably had about five when I was there. Didn't pay you a dime. You just picked up avocados for 4 hours a day and you had a place to stay and you could eat all you wanted, like avocados. I think you could eat some of those vegetables they had too, but I'm a frugivore, so this isn't my tent. I don't know who was in there. Another picture of the house. But yeah, here's where you'd unload your cart full of avocados. I think I got about two. You could get two or three carts in 4 hours. Of course, I didn't push myself, and it got old pretty quick. But it was an interesting place, I'll tell you what. And those were great avocados. So some star fruits. I guess I picked those up myself. I should have just lived on those. I couldn't resist those avocados because they were so delicious and so big and perfect, and organic. And they just really brought me down. I mean, it was just like depressing. But star fruits were pretty nice now that I look at them. And they had a nice place for people to sit and talk. If it'd been more fruit based, it would have been different. But yeah, star fruits were pretty nice, but you can't sustain yourself on that for very long. I mean, you might make a meal out of it. I remember that book; it was pretty good. Like a little library you could read from, and yeah, they were showing how to plant by the zodiac, by the seasons, by the sun and moon and everything. It's well done. That was a good book. I'm glad that I took these pictures. Anyway, not sure, like I said, what they were planting in all these beds. More coral. I think these might be microgreens. I'll show you. They're coming up here somewhere. Yeah, and then they'd box them up, and then they had a truck, and they'd go deliver them too for free. So good for them for that. But man, just think if those were mangoes, it would have been a lot healthier for people. And there are places with so many mangoes, they don't know what to do with them down there in Homestead also. But uh, I never really found one of those that had a community or anything. So, yeah, a lot of avocados. Guess this is some kind of thing for boxing them up. So they must have made some money off of the other things they were growing, but it probably wasn't the season. But like I said, they did grow microgreens, and I don't know what all this was, but this was a nice greenhouse. Very decent. They had a few greenhouses there. Zucchinis, I think. Look at all those avocados all over the place. Could be cucumbers, probably. They had quite a little operation here. Look at that. Compost. They knew what they were doing. They'd been in business a while. Everything organic, so good for them. So yeah, I was taking pictures when I was supposed to be picking up avocados. I'm not sure what this is. This might be a cooler of some kind. See how it's closed off? Wonder if, look at that. Temperature controlled, climate controlled. Okay, you went in there. one of the workers watering everything. Not sure what those are. Could be potatoes or something. I have no idea. That's how ignorant I am of growing methods, and I'll go into that another time. Fire pit, pretty cool. Bees, wow. I don't even remember this. Look at this. Smart move. I like that. Somebody else probably can recognize what those plants are. Could be tomatoes, maybe. See the big stakes here, but you'd think you'd see more of them. Okay, now I will show you. This is another folder that I had. Now, this is inside their house, and they had like computers next to one another, the owner and her boyfriend. And there's their I think that's a could be compost toilet. But look, I mean, they didn't take much care of things or try to beautify or anything. That is a problem. But there I am in my tent reading that book. And man, I lost almost everything I had. This is a nice wool blanket from Mexico I had for years. It was, oh man, it was wonderful. Used it for so many things. Nighttime outside the tent. Yeah, right outside. I had my tent right near these coral stones, I felt like highly spiritual in that environment, like Edward Leeds Scalman and Coral Castle. That was neat. I swear they should have put a roof on this thing or made it into something. I would have, man, would I have loved to own that place. I would have planted fruit trees right away. That is pretty cool. What's this, an old bed frame? Neat picture though. Yeah, I did some traveling, believe me. Once I sold that or let that house go, I became a vagabond, kind of all over South Florida, and then finally settled in Boca Raton about 3 or 4 years later, about 3 years later, I guess, which was a wonderful place. Anyway, yeah, I ended up right by the ocean where I really needed to be. More avocados. Yeah, I got tired of living in that tent, believe me, and picking up avocados for them every day. And they weren't into the fruit. I mean, they were okay people and it was a great place, but I didn't have any future there that I could see. I don't know what those are. Now, here's something I don't know what this is, if this is part of their place. It looks like it because you can see the sprinkler heads and they're putting down crushed rock over top of like, I think that's probably just soil. Now, this may be across the street from them. I'm not sure. I think it is. And I'm not sure what exactly was going to be grown on that land over there, but you can see the sprinklers were all set up, ready to go. a lot of things down there were not organic. In fact, most things were not. I think, oh, this was a nursery, and they actually grew palm trees. These things, they'd sell these royal palms. And I think this was across the street from Paradise Farm. So yeah, that's it. That's it for this video, I believe. No, here you go. See, they're what are they doing? Is that pesticides or what is it they're spraying here? But they're crushing the stones. There's my van, very disorganized. I did have a few gallons of blended bananas on ice, and I'd go get ice every day, and I more or less that's where I got most of my calories. That's inside my trailer, which had a little shelf on the left side, and then I had plastic containers with all kinds of possessions in them, everything I owned. These are, look, that's my checkbooks, you know. This was all personal, valuable stuff, apparently, in this one, because I could access it very easily. I'm not sure what was in this. It wasn't garbage. It was probably clothes or God knows what, or electronics, or, yep. Okay, now here's, I don't know, another book they had there. This is still Paradise Farms, I believe. Yeah, see, yeah, same book. It's still talking about astrology and planting by the seasons and the moon and the sun and everything. Uh, that makes a lot of sense. I know farmers have done that for thousands of years. So this was a good book. I'm glad that I took pictures. Oh, I think they're comparing rhubarb grown at different, they call them fruit days. Wow, interesting. Very good evidence. I'd like to study that book or, you know, interesting. They have fruit days, root days, leaf days, according to the sun and moon. Very good. And, you know, like for planting and picking and harvesting. So look, this is cool. Sprouts. You'll see these growing here. Now, this is not my favorite kind of sprout. It looks like a bean sprout of some kind. And they would probably grind up the whole thing. And so it was a high protein kind of food. It's getting away from the frugivore, low fat frugivore thing, It's still viable and valuable. Yeah, star fruits, man. That's their saving grace, that made it semi worthwhile. Now these look a little darker, or maybe they're in the shade, but that's when they really are excellent. When they're that color, like an amber color, that's when you want to eat them. What is this? They're bagging up their microgreens. Look at that. Pretty cool. Now that's something I could get into because greens are very important. See, there's where he put all this in the food processor, and that's what he's going to eat apparently. Um, and it probably made like I don't know what it looked like if it turned into a paste or what. But I mean, this isn't like really low fat frugivore food. You could make a salad out of it, but it'd only be a few hundred calories. Now here's those microgreens. Those I could just eat right out of the freaking container, believe me. And I'd like to be growing those myself. That's a very worthwhile thing to do, in my opinion, because I think those are very high quality greens. And you don't see, they're not connected to beans or something. Those are grown from seed. So the ever present avocados. It just dominated the scene. So yeah, I guess they had temperature controlled. This is where they grew the microgreens and stored them. That's what this is all for. Quite an operation they had going here. That looks like spring mix. I don't know. But okay, food for the farm. I don't know what that meant. Maybe that was for the people. I'm not sure. Now look, I guess this is the start of like some sprouts. And I'm not sure what kind of peas or whatever those are that they sprout from, but see, there they are. There's the sprouts. Now you cut them off from those beans and you'd really have something. But you'd need trays and trays and trays of them, and they'd probably be great. And you'd get all the greens you needed very easily. You just have to keep at it. See, they're sprouting right here. This is cool. Very well done. Now, these may be tomato plants. I'm not sure what they are. Could be some kind of greens too, like, which is very commendable. Look at this. And then those avocados dominating everything, just loads of them. Now, this is like a little tour of Homestead, which is kind of like, I don't know, just I just wasn't real excited about Homestead. I mean the downtown, but it wasn't that bad. You could. This was 13 years ago. Chrome Avenue. I think that's the main road that Paradise Farms was on. Now this is that nursery. See, they're growing these exotic palm trees, and they sell for probably $5,000. I don't know. Now that's like a little roadside fruit stand, and I'm probably leaving Paradise Farms here in these pictures, but yeah, I mean a lot of chemical fertilizers being used on a lot of these big commercial farms, and not sure what this is. A lot of dead trees. Not a particularly beautiful area. So I don't know what this is. Maybe this is back in Tampa, parking my trailer, and not sure if this is Tampa or Miami or what it is. But now whose books are those? Am I still at? I don't know where I am there. So anyway, you've just seen my little tour of Paradise Farms here, the avocado farm. Pretty cool place. So I just wanted to give you a little tour and let you see this place. I'll give you another picture of the property, the front. Not sure if I showed you these, but I'll quickly just go through this bunch here at the front here, and I'll show you the entrance to the place again. So you've a lot of good things they were doing there, a lot of smart things. Wheatgrass, processing, boxing things up, everything. Quite an operation they had going. Not sure what they were growing there, but you can see like a tarp, and then I'm sure they put compost down there, and then they had the water lines in and everything. So Quite a place. Avocado trees. There's my trailer. There's the entrance. There's my truck and trailer. And here we are at the entrance, Paradise Farms. There you go. So, thanks a lot for watching. I hope you enjoyed this.